Prepare for a fusion of knowledge and exhilaration where education and excitement collide.
Taking you on an adventure that expands your mind and speaks to your spirit.
I'm Master Nick.
I'm Lady D.
We are the Dom Life.
This podcast contains sexually explicit topics and adult content.
It is intended for listeners 18 and older.
The opinions expressed in this podcast are ours alone, based on our personal thoughts, feelings, and experiences.
We understand that others may have different opinions and experiences, and we respect that. We would love to hear from you. You can reach out to us at www.thedomlife.com. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode. Oh, my God. There's another guy on air with us. What's going on, Lady D?
We're in our beautiful, wonderful recording studio. That's our interview one.
It is awesome.
This is interview room down here, Studio 2. But we are sitting here with Grey and Evie.
Hello. I bet you don't know where we met them.
Gee, I wonder.
I bet nobody knows where we met.
The greatest place.
The greatest place on earth.
Place. It is.
And Grey and Evie are sitting here with the big cheese.
Yeah.
That's right.
Big cheese.
We are definitely going to get into that story here in a minute. I even brought it for a little visual,
Nice.
too. Yep, we met Grey and Evie at the wonderful Club Tempted. And we have had... we always speak. We always say hi. We haven't had a whole lot of interactions of, getting to know one another and all that.
You guys are very popular and always busy.
Yeah, we're usually...
You guys are pretty popular yourselves.
Yes, you are.
It's like crossing paths in the night sometimes.
Yes.
That's what we do. But we are very excited to sit down and talk to you all because as we were talking and discussing this podcast, it was some very, very interesting topics
100%.
that have came up and just totally blew our mind. And it kind of ties in with some of our previous episodes. So just for you at home listening and watching on YouTube, we did the episode on how to introduce BDSM into your current relationship. And then what we found out was you all just celebrated your 20th anniversary.
That's right.
All right. So you've been married for
years.
20 years. How long did you date before you got married?
Just about a year.
Just about
Now,
a
we knew each other for a long time
I had
before
been-
that.
Okay.
I'm going to date myself. I was on ICQ.
Oh, yeah?
Oh.
If you know, you know. Anyway.
So you've been dating and married for 21 years.
Yep.
And you brought BDSM into your life
Oh,
how many years ago?
It was probably either we brought some kink in, I would say, in December of 2022.
Yeah.
And then sometime within the next year, more distinct BDSM, like more
So
impact play and things
Less
like that.
than 3 years
Yes.
of BDSM.
Mm-hmm.
And now into the swinging lifestyle came a little bit later than that.
Yes.
So these are the topics that we are really excited about getting into.
Because we started it from day one.
Yeah.
So it's a
Right.
totally different perspective on how after you've been in a relationship, do you actually introduce it?
Right. So I've got so many daggone questions that I am just
Bring 'em on.
dying,
We'll
Bring
have to
'em
talk.
on.
just dying to get into. So, but before we get into the questions, is there anything you all want to say about yourselves?
I think that Evie is the sexiest woman in the universe.
I'm really glad you said that.
I would agree, but I'd have to put her at like number 2.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. And number 2 is sitting right here. Isn't that weird? We're surrounded by the 2 sexiest women
Yes.
in the universe. It's pretty weird, right?
Man, we're pretty damn lucky.
Oh my gosh. I'm flushed and heated.
I can tell the temperature warmed up like 15 degrees in here.
We feel like the past year, definitely, maybe the past year and a half, it's been like we found a cheat code in our relationship.
Yes.
Like
Right.
a
achieved
video
our-
game cheat code, not like we're cheating on each other.
No.
cheat code.
Right.
But like a cheat code, like, oh my goodness, like how did
At
how
this
did we
point, it'd be
not
nearly
come
impossible
to this
for us
earlier?
to cheat on each other.
Yeah, it would.
would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could happen.
Well, there
Jinx
are
it.
ways, and that's
Yes.
something that we see all the time when people aren't communicating well.
Right.
Cheating does occur even in
Oh yeah.
Yes,
Lifestyle.
you could still break your boundaries. You could still cheat. You could still hurt your
Right.
relationship, even if you're fully poly, even if you're doing ethical non-monogamy. If you're swinging, you could absolutely completely violate the trust of your relationship.
Oh yeah.
And I see postings on that all the time, and people are like, am I crazy? And my thought is, and they said, well, we've communicated. Well, then it's time to put some hard
Recommunicate.
lines in the communication because
Yeah.
there is. But you guys are adorable. I mean, one of my favorite things is watching you guys. I almost got in trouble one night. Not really, but I was like, you had set her down
Yeah.
on the bench and then left.
Yeah.
You were gone, right? And I had walked in and then I touched you. And I was like, and she's like, you're like, he's coming right back. I'm like, oh no, I'm going to.
You were perfectly fine, and it was nice because you were like, oh wait, they might be setting up, so I'm gonna move right over here, and I'm not gonna spank her yet. So
I
I
wasn't trying.
thought she would enjoy the anticipation.
the wait, I
a little
did,
bit.
yes.
Yeah.
And then I snuck in and I tend to do that.
You
It's
could
my
you could
badness.
probably do that more. Like, make me have to be patient.
Okay.
Yeah, just a note,
Noted.
Duly noted.
Yeah.
I see the notepad.
The
Right there.
problem is that I'm not patient.
I know.
So you'll have to entertain
Yeah,
yourself
it's
with
like
something
both.
else for that
Yeah.
couple of minutes, and then that way.
I'll go on the dance floor.
Oh my god,
That's usually
that would be like
that is
amazing
usually-
and terrible at the same time.
that is usually where we see you all, and that's one of the things that I've noticed because for me, which we've done VIP more for the upstairs VIP more than we do on the dance floor now, just because I enjoy it because I'm a people watcher.
Yes,
I like to
that's
watch.
great people watching.
So I go up to the white VIP,
Yeah.
and I lean over the balcony and I just watch.
Yeah.
And
It's great.
And that is one thing that I have always noticed and I've always loved about you all. You all bring such positive energy, and you're laughing, you're dancing, you're always having a great time. It's
We
like
are very happy to be there.
Yes.
it's like everybody has their mood swings and everybody
Yes.
has their bad days
Yes.
and everybody goes through life and problems. But every time I've seen you all, it is nothing but super positive vibes, and you're
Yes.
excited and you're laughing. And I just love it. That's one thing that I love about you all. I love seeing you at the club because I love seeing that energy from you. It
So-
is amazing.
That means Nick did not see the time that I sub dropped right outside of the dungeon at the second floor balcony and had to grab you and say, I am dropping right now and you have to do something about this.
Nope, I did not see that.
Yeah, I've had I think
You've had a few.
two experiences that were negative because
Yeah.
of drop. It was not, he knew, but that's one of the things that's.
Now
It
he
happens.
really got me through it. So we were on the second floor balcony across from the dungeon, and I grabbed him and I told him, I was like, this is happening. It's going to be really bad. And he drug me up to the third floor into the garden room, and I just burst into tears.
Right.
In the garden, just
Yeah.
burst
I
into
know
tears.
somebody else I don't know what room we went in, but I know somebody else that done the exact same thing.
And I will not have a clear memory of exactly how he got me through it, but it was a combination of
took care of you.
like you 100% did. It was a combination of letting me kind of cry it out and just being there for me, but then also turning on that more dominant side of his personality and in a way kind of doming me through it.
Right, because you're not in a situation where you're in your home.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so you have to end it. You can't keep
Yeah.
cycling
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
it. So I get that.
Yep.
I get that. Tell me, since you've brought it up now, what is subspace like for you? How does it feel to you?
It's really floaty for me. So it's like very ethereal. So it does feel like I'm kind of like floating, like almost like outer space floating, or like floating on a cloud floating.
Are you still really connected to your body during that, or do you
Like sensory? Yes. Like I can really,
but your mind is off
But-
other than
yes, other than like I'm like having all of these great vibes.
okay.
So,
And then is your sub drop usually pretty quick after, or just depends on how?
it depends on what happens, and I don't always drop.
Okay.
So like the first time I dropped, I knew it was happening because of your all's podcast, actually. The first time, it was maybe a day, 2, 3 after. And we were laying in bed and we were like looking at profiles for Tempted, and we were talking about, are we going to talk to this couple? Are we going to talk to this couple? And I felt like he was criticizing what I had said to this one couple, and I didn't know how emotionally vulnerable I was. And then he bit me, which normally would have like just snapped me back into, hey, behave, don't get so much in your head about it. I burst into tears. I just
Oh no!
burst into tears, and I was
That
like,
was rough.
"It's okay, I'm just dropping, I'm just dropping." But I think it freaked you out because that was the first time I dropped,
Yeah.
so I feel like that did freak you out
It
a
came
little
out of
bit.
nowhere, too.
And it did. It just bam,
And
it
it's
really
not
came out
like
of
it
nowhere.
doesn't sometimes make any sense
No.
in when it happens. It's
No.
like a body reaction that you literally you don't know. It's days later, and you're like, why? Why are you so upset? And then come to realize.
Again, coming from the dom side, the first time or two, it freaks you out because
Mm-hmm.
now your mind's going,
What did I
okay,
do wrong?
what do I need to do to fix this?
Right.
Yeah, what did I do wrong, and how can I fix this? And it's not your common mood swing or any
Mm-hmm.
of that. It's totally different. It does.
It's irrational.
Yeah.
And then
It
it
is.
takes a while to figure out the steps in order to support your
Yes.
partner
Right.
through it, because it's different every time, and you just have to know your partner's
Yeah.
needs for this.
Right.
And it's like, I'll tell you, there's been a couple of times just in the last month where we finish, whether it's sex or right after the thing, where I'm bawling, like and at the club, it sucks sometimes because
Yeah.
when that
'Cause you're
happens, I
just
turn
there.
around.
Yes.
Like I'm like not facing anyone. I don't want to look at anybody. The other night,
You was close to tears the other
Oh,
night.
yeah.
I could tell you were fighting it.
Well, and sometimes your friends don't understand it either, right?
Right.
my friend, well, the people in the dungeon all understand it, but now
Yes.
they do.
Yeah.
Or-
Because Tanya and John, because they're such good managers
Yeah.
of the club, they came and checked a couple of times, like, explain this to me.
Yeah.
Explain why somebody's shaking, crying, those things. And it's like, I had to go through, like, this is normal for me.
Right. There was one night in our bed. I mean, immediately after she has that giggle. I know she's in her space when she starts giggling.
Yeah.
And we got
whole
done,
club
and,
knows.
and she's laying, and she's laying there giggling, and she flinches her wrist, and she pops her neck, and she's getting all this sensory out of her,
Yeah.
and she went straight from that to bawling at the flip of a
And
switch,
I mean, big,
and I'm going,
sobbing.
what the fuck just happened? You were in your space. You just that time really freaked
But
me
it
out.
was just a release.
Yeah.
Like I can't explain it. It wasn't that I was sad.
Nope.
Yeah.
It's just
No, it's just so much
it's
emotion.
so much, and that
And you're letting go of so much. You don't realize maybe how much stress you were holding on
Well,
to,
that's
or how much
usually-
worry you were
Yeah.
holding on.
Yeah.
And like when you let all of that go that fast, and like all the hormonal stuff, I mean,
Yes.
all
It's
the
a-
buttons
it's a-
your hormones
a
are pushing
brain
for you.
reset.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that.
It is a brain reset.
All right, so
Back to
back-
the original question.
Okay.
back
I
to
can't
here.
remember.
All
What
right,
was
so
it?
you've been together a little over 21 years.
Yeah.
Been married 20.
Yeah.
So how did you all meet?
Do you want me to tell this?
Sure. Oh, yeah. Oh, you talking about the birthday party?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
We met-
Listen, I domed out the entire birthday party.
He did.
all
He
right?
really
Let me
did.
tell you.
We met at my ex-fiance's high school graduation party.
Yeah.
Now, he wasn't my fiance at the time.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was his
He
graduation
became
party.
my fiance later. And it was a guy he grew up with. Like they had been best friends
He
for a
lives
long
on
time.
the next street.
He lived the
I
next
walked
street
over
over
to his house.
Right.
And so Gray walked into the party with, I don't remember what kind of Game Boy it was.
I don't either. It was some Game Boy. It might have been the original Game Boy.
It was definitely
Anyway.
what would be by today's standards
so.
a much older model. And he had maxed out the Tetris score to the point that it would not roll over anymore. And this was his like peacock at the party, right? Like he shows up to the party showing this off.
Check it out.
And I mean, I immediately
Yes.
thought that he was one of the most interesting people that I had ever met. And we became friends immediately.
Okay.
And I think it was probably more than that on
Well,
his end.
I immediately decided I was going to steal you away from my friend. So, unfortunately, I'm such a great guy. He wasn't a good friend.
You were just waiting for you were just waiting for
on the
him to
next
screw
street,
up.
and
So.
we-
Yeah, exactly. I was just waiting for him to screw up.
Yeah. So we met in 1998.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've known each other that long.
Okay.
And so that's, like baby internet, baby ICQ and AOL.
Yeah,
and we were
right.
like AOL friends for a long time. And he would flirt with me by sending me boxes full of junk when I was at college.
I would just go through, you're cleaning up your house and you got all this crap laying around, and it's like, I don't want to throw it
golf
away.
pencils,
it's like, it's good stuff, but I
radioactive
don't need this. So I
marbles.
would just throw it in a box. And I had boxes under my bed of just crap. And so I put box of crap and I would send it to her. And she loved
So
it.
what did you do with the boxes of crap when you got it?
I mean, I held on to him.
Did
Like,
you?
well, the first one that he sent me, also, he had recorded a Buffy the Vampire Slayer marathon.
There was a marathon on VHS.
On VHS, and he sent me the VHS. And I binged them all like back to back, and I wasn't watching the show at the time, and I really got sucked into it.
I got
and it
into
was
it.
like all the most emotional episodes too. And I was watching
it was like
one
the
of them
best of
super
Buffy
late at
marathon.
night,
I was like, this is perfect.
just like
I
crying
don't even have to
watching
do
it.
any work. Just pop the tape in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that box is probably still somewhere
It's under the stairs.
in our. It's under the stairs. All right.
Oh my gosh.
I can see
love
Evie now renting a storage building just to store all
All her
Grey's
crap.
boxes.
We
of
just
crap.
bought a house with a really big basement, so
There you go.
Sadly,
Oh boy.
we Airbnb ours. So.
Yeah.
All right. So, man, that is interesting as hell.
All right.
All right. So you met, you were friends for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and then obviously you started dating.
Yeah.
So what did dating life look like for you all? Sexually, was there? What
Well,
type of
we-
sex life do you think you had?
we hooked up for the first time before we ever had a real date.
Yeah.
So we
But
had
you had
sex
known
and
each
then we
other
went on a
at
date. But
least,
we
right?
I had
had
been
known
working
each
on
other
it.
and we
Right.
flirted with each other for a long time online. So when we first got to when we knew we were headed towards dating and we first got to see each other, we already knew.
We were ready to
We
go.
knew so much about each other anyway. So we had sex and then we went on our date.
That was great.
That's
That's the right way
probably
to do
the
it.
best way
Yeah,
to
yeah.
do
Right
way
it.
to do it.
Because
Absolutely.
if it's not,
We were hungry, we were tired, so
that was great.
it was great.
Let's go
And
to
then,
something to
and
eat.
then if sex wasn't good, it was, you know what? I got other plans.
Yeah.
I got something else to do
you
here.
know,
No,
my friend's
he
calling. I got to help him out.
he made sure he had done a lot of homework. So
All right. So would you call it more of a vanilla sex, or was there any kind of kink involved with it?
it
Pulling
was not
hair?
kinky at all.
No.
No, we didn't
Yeah.
even pull hair yet.
No, we were babies.
We were.
we
Now
were
it was,
sweet summer children.
and I think that's maybe one of the things that took us a while to discover more kink and more BDSM in our lifestyle, and even to discover the lifestyle, is we've always had a very good sex life.
right.
Like we've both always had a really high drive.
Yeah.
And I don't think we realized quite
No,
how
yeah.
high our
We didn't
drive
know.
was
We
until
were
we
a
started to
little
meet
abnormal.
a lot of
Yeah.
other people and be like, we're having sex more than
A lot
everybody we
more.
know.
Right.
So,
then we-
but it was still like relatively vanilla, but
Right.
amazing vanilla.
Oh,
Right.
I understand
and
completely.
then
Yeah.
when COVID happened, we lost a ton of weight.
We did. Well, right before. I lost a lot right
And-
before.
It's like all the testosterone stayed, so it's like it almost made it worse. Not work better.
And we were together more. Like we had more opportunities.
Right.
So,
Okay.
The crazy part of that is that I think so you didn't have any of the kink in it
Yeah.
in the beginning.
mhm.
But now if you went back and
Yeah.
you took away kink, You
Oh, no.
can't. It's not possible.
No, it won't
I
work.
don't think we could ever get to where we didn't have the ethical non-monogamy or the swinging.
Yeah.
Like that has become such a part of one of the things we love about our
Yes.
relationship. I don't see us ever going back to that.
Yeah.
Right.
I think we could still have a satisfying sex life if we didn't have some of the kink or the BDSM, but it's so much better with it.
Well, now think about it. Again, you hit subspace. Now, there's people
That's
that
true.
don't. There's people that don't truly hit subspace. So my thought is, yes, you could, but what's going to happen is you're going to start misbehaving.
Yeah.
You're
I would
going to start
probably really
pushing
crave that, yeah.
that
gonna-
boundaries. Because here's
Yeah.
the thing. I had great relationships before Master Nick. He's not my first with BDSM, but he's the first that I instantly said, this is what I need.
Yes.
This is what we're going to do. If it's not there, we can't do it. I can't do it. Because I had been in relationships with wonderful men that were great in bed. But after a while, it becomes like, oh, well, that's fun. You know, like, because there was none of the dominance. There was
Yeah.
none of that kink, the grab me by my hair, like, you know, bite me. If I don't have that, I literally can't enjoy.
Well, you know, she asked me a good question in the car. She said, you know, what exactly was the question? Like, oh, were you ever thinking about, you know,
Oh,
like
right.
fooling around with other chicks while we were, you know, before we dove right into all
I was like, this is a safe space, safe. I'm
And
not
I
going
was
to lose
like-
my mind. Safe question. Like, let's
Right.
talk
And I
about
was like,
that.
I don't know. But then now I've been thinking about this whole time, driving up here, and I was like, I have an insane internal monologue. All right? Like
You do.
inside my mind, you know, like there's stories happening all the time. I think I was probably into BDSM the entire time. I was thinking
Right,
about
because
it
you're
and
just
stuff like
telling
that. Yeah.
yourself this whole kinky narrative or
Yeah.
whole kinky story in your head
Yeah.
while stuff's going on. And we finally got to the point where you were like, wait a minute, I can tell her this.
Yeah.
She wants me to tell her the crazy, wild, kinky narrative that I had in my head while we were fucking.
all the stories.
Yes, all the stories, yes.
So since you didn't have it in the beginning,
Yeah.
since you didn't, what was the first interaction like where you brought in, maybe not the first, because I know
Yeah.
maybe it was a progressive
Well, I'll tell you
thing.
what the first one was.
Okay,
It
good.
was when you smacked me on the ass with
Oh,
that
yeah.
lightsaber.
I did.
When I reset we were playing Super Monkey Ball on GameCube, and she was gonna beat me for the
You're
first time in her
conflating
life.
two episodes there.
Well, anyway, and I reached over and I just, you know, reset. You know, I just laughed, ha ha ha, and I was bent over, and she picked up a lightsaber and whoop, bow.
No, there were two different
Anyway.
I think I smacked you for that. The lightsaber was just pure fun.
Oh, okay,
like you
yeah.
were just in the other room, and I saw it, and I picked it up, and I baseball swung this thing into him because I just thought it would be funny.
But that wasn't really kinky at all. That was like, that hurt.
But I don't know. I think you still kind of thought it was fun.
I like getting hurt.
But then we didn't talk about it. It wasn't like, hey, I kind of like getting hurt. Or,
That's like, you know, when that one girl broke my rib,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of liked it. I was like, oh yeah, still hurts. Kind of like it.
it's that remembrance of it when it still hurts.
Right.
Like
Mm-hmm.
this week, every time I
Yeah.
sat down.
One of our friends was like, oh my God, that's such a Dom thing to say. And it's like, yeah, I like the pain.
But not every dom likes. You don't want to receive impact though.
No.
Like you don't want to be on the spanking bench, and
No.
you don't want us to switch. You don't want
That's
me to
not
flog
me.
you.
No.
But like if we were in a scene and I smacked you in the face,
Yeah.
or if I bit you, you would like that.
Oh, yeah.
Because you were getting off, like
Yeah.
because he's getting you off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Versus you did something like that because you were so turned on or that, not because I'm trying to top
She's
you or
the-
dominate.
Right.
But you know, talking about the biting, you just make me think. Word must have gotten around because chicks are always biting me now, like biting.
Like,
biting.
oh, you can bite Gray. He doesn't care.
Yeah. You know, it's like, you know, I wake up, it's like, what happened? You know, it's a big bite right here. It's like, oh, yeah, that's right.
For all you Club Tempted members out there,
Yeah. So, ladies of Club Tempted.
find Gray on the dance floor.
Now, some people
Let's see who
we've
can
had to
leave the
set
biggest
scales
mark.
for and say, don't bite as hard as you can anymore. Like, please don't do that.
Not on my neck.
So who initiated the first conversation?
He really did in
Well,
a
you
couple
can
of different
Tell them the
ways.
story about the video.
Okay, I was going to tell the
Okay.
video is definitely the first kinky
think,
thing.
yeah.
That happened before any of like the impact play or the CNC
I think
play.
that's the beginning of it.
That I really think is the beginning.
Yeah.
So we would watch pornography together, you know, while we're having sex. And so we've almost always have a phone there.
Yeah.
Right. Because he would watch it or I would watch, we watch stuff together. And that's
Right.
so, and a lot of the times, and I don't know, this is probably me being subleaning anyway. I close my eyes a lot when we have sex. Like
Yes.
sometimes I'll remind myself to open my eyes and see what's happening and
do
be in the
that.
moment. But I'm so sensory. Like I get off so much more on how stuff feels and how it sounds, way more than how it looks. Although watching during swinging the voyeuristic side of me has been having a great time.
Enlightened.
Yes, yeah. So I close my eyes a lot, and he knows that, right? So I wouldn't think anything of it if he had a phone out when I had my eyes closed, because I just assume he's watching pornography, which great.
Yeah.
So we were hooking up in the basement one time because we were hiding out from our kids and trying not to wake them up. And snuck down to the room in the basement, and he filmed me and didn't tell me.
Yeah.
Now, I would not even watch myself
And
in
I'll
the
show
mirror.
you later. I still have it.
He still has this. I wouldn't watch myself in the mirror or anything when we were having sex. I'm like, oh, I don't like the way I look. I don't like the way this jiggles when he does
She
this.
needed to know how hot she is, and I had to show her.
And he almost immediately admitted to it, right?
Yeah.
He was like, listen, I
wanna show
did
you
something. I want to show it to you. I want to tell you about it.
I didn't want. I had to do it without your permission because
'Cause
I
I
knew
wouldn't
you
have
wouldn't
told-
have
yeah.
given me permission.
Yeah.
But I knew that you would have wanted it.
And the minute he showed it to me, I was like, oh my God, that's the hottest thing I've ever seen. I was like, that's
hot.
so hot. And like, we had not even ever sent each other a sext.
Yeah.
No. Well, maybe like a sexy message, but
Yeah,
never a
yeah,
pic.
yeah.
I had never
No,
gone to the
no.
bathroom and took my top off and took
Yeah.
a picture and sent it to
Yeah,
you
yeah.
on your phone.
Yeah, you're right,
Like
yeah.
we didn't even have any nudie pictures on our phone, period. And now our phones
That's
are
changed.
landmines. Nudie pictures.
Yes.
I did take a sexy picture for him one time on an old, like it has to be developed camera. I was in a sexy costume one Halloween.
It was more than that. It was a Polaroid. So
No,
you didn't even have
was
to
it a
take.
Polaroid?
Yes, I got it.
I know
still.
you have. I can't remember what the camera was. But I was in a very sexy Halloween costume. I was basically just in a bra and like a robe type thing. And I was like, I'm going to take a picture for Gray. And I mailed it, mailed it to him
It was
at the
wild.
time.
It was good.
And that was it. And
Snail
then
mail.
you know, 19 years after that of like no sexy pictures. And so liking that video, enjoying the way that he made me feel when I saw myself on that video.
Right.
And then him being like, well, let me take some pictures and see what you think. And I love the way he makes me look in pictures. And so I think pictures and videos were a big
That was
gateway,
the gateway.
into kink and
Yeah.
BDSM and the lifestyle.
Okay.
That's awesome.
So what kind of conversations happened after that? You know, so that was
Yeah.
a great example of getting started.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So you have already been thinking of
Oh, yeah.
ways to kind of mix things up,
Fire
spice
things
things
Yep,
up a little
spice it
bit.
up, Yeah.
Okay. And you hadn't had any kind of thoughts or anything like that before,
No, and again, I think that goes back to because we had a really good sex life.
right?
So
You don't have to put on anything. You don't have to make it anything else because you already had a
We
great.
didn't know what we didn't know.
right, we didn't
Right.
know what we did. It's
Yeah.
like you get to the point where you're like, I didn't even know there was something better out there because like I was very happy with what I had and it was really good. Like
Right.
no complaints. And we were at the point too where we had a very healthy relationship.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
we
yeah.
had already had so many of the fights and the arguments and the growth of like I have to learn this and he has to learn. We had already done so much
Yeah.
of that. And I think at that point you kind of don't know, like you
Yeah.
don't know that there's another adventure
Right.
out there still. So
Sparkling eyes.
yes.
You
So
see
for-
it instantly.
so for a long time, it became like, oh, we're going to do a hotel date. So, okay, what pictures are we taking on the hotel date?
Right.
Or, well, and then we did anal, which is probably kinky for some people.
Yeah.
Like some people probably don't consider
That's taking it up a level.
on your, your roster of we do this all the time,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And but that was even a late development. We didn't do a lot of
Yeah.
anal play earlier in
Well,
the
yeah.
relationship.
I remember the first time it was like a year that before we were married.
Was it?
Yeah, and I didn't know what I was doing, and I did a bad job.
blocked it
and-
out.
Yeah, you did. And she was like, "Oh no, that hurts." And I was like, "Okay, never doing that again."
Well, you got a lot better.
I did research. That's
Definitely
Then
research helps.
Google happens.
Yes.
Google is our.
It's like, oh,
Yeah.
I
So
was doing it wrong.
we would make like a hotel date and then plan for that. So what lingerie are we going to buy for that hotel date? What pictures are we going to make a video? Is it going to have like a narrative to it? Are we going to try something new at the hotel? And that was probably part of it is our hotel dates.
Oh, yeah.
So there was some role playing as well in the hotel dates as far as what you would wear. Was there any, role changes or?
Oh, yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, we would do,
Although I think we've gotten into that more now.
Yeah.
So we had a good time with that. What, two weekends ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. First weekend in March. Yeah. That was fun. We could tell a story about that.
So so that was how you guys started. What was the first time that like a BDSM thing?
Thinking about, like making new, cool content is like, I'm going to get a flogger, and check, it'll be cool, it'll look good. And then it was like, she was into that. It was like, bam. I was like,
Right.
oh.
Or like sometime in the past 2 years, we were fucking doggy and he spanked me and I was like,
really?
well, I
gave
liked
it to
that.
her.
Yes, please do that
It's
again.
kind of like
And he
an
hadn't-
organic growth.
Not that we recommend doing it this way,
I
but
was
he hadn't
taking
asked
notes.
about that. He was just like,
Let's
see
just
what
try it.
happens. And
Right.
it wasn't like, he didn't hit me as like
Exactly.
hard as he could. It was
Right.
like, we'll see if she wants
Yeah,
to.
you're right. I didn't hit you as hard as I could.
I don't think you did.
But again, like going back to what you said, it wasn't talked about, it wasn't consent. But for those that are looking to try to do it, you can do a light tap.
Yes.
Yeah.
Something that's not going to leave a mark.
Yeah.
Something that you know is not going to hurt.
Yeah.
To kind of get some kind of reaction. If you get a good reaction out of it,
Yeah.
then you know that's another
here we
key
go.
point to start talking about.
Yeah.
If you get a negative, then
Yes.
you're just like,
Right.
okay, I'm sorry.
My bad.
And I
kinda
also
got
was
carried
really
away.
into it.
I think that's different too when you have the, 16, 17, 18 years of building trust with somebody.
Right.
As this is not a hookup. Like this isn't
Yeah.
a Tinder date where like you
Well-
just walked in the
Right.
door and you want to see
Exactly.
if you can put your hands on my neck, you know?
Exactly.
But the other side of that is if I talk to you about it beforehand, if we talk about it, women tend to go, I'm not going to
wanna do
like
that."
that.
Right.
You're not going to hit me.
Yeah.
Who do you
Right.
think you are?
Yeah.
That's not the kind of woman I
Yeah.
am because we're taught and raised and believe in certain things from
Yeah.
a young age. And so by introducing it just gently,
Yes.
but by doing some of these things, just even resting, that's one of the resting your hand
Yes.
here.
Yeah, just
If
that
you
level of authority there.
shiver,
Or, holding her wrists while you're
Right.
You're doing it. And it's
Right.
like, it's like,
And
oh,
you
she
can
likes
do
it.
that in a very inconspicuous way too. You can, I know
That's
that
it,
we've
yeah.
talked about it is, it's like having sex. Reach up, try to like you're going to hold hands with them and then pull their hands up above their head.
Yeah.
So it's a restraint move,
Yeah.
but it doesn't come across as a
Right.
restraint move.
It's still
But-
sexy.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you can get the reaction from your partner
it's like,
and
oh,
then
okay.
get the conversations going with it.
And if he had asked me about it, like if he had said, "Hey, do you think you want to be spanked?" I would have been like, "No."
Right.
So I had read, like years before any of this happened, I had read. Anne Rice has a series of 3 books that are like Kinky Sleeping Beauty, and she wrote them under a different pen name. It's like A.R. Roquelaire or something like that. And it's not. I wouldn't put it up as a BDSM example to anybody because the issues of like consent and things like that aren't there. It's very much almost like a captured slave type story.
Gotcha.
So it's a little transgressive in that way, I think. But it introduces like a lot of those themes of submission and subspace and like if you want to be degraded, if you want to be used, like kind of getting into that. I think it's good for that. And there was like so much paddling in the story. And I was like, gosh, what is with all this paddling? Like who's getting paddled? Who wants this? And like going back and rereading those stories now, I'm like, okay, well, I really get the paddling thing. So if he had
Target
asked
audience.
me, I would have been like, well, I don't want that. Like
Right.
maybe I want some of these other things, but I don't want that.
Right.
And now I would say, well, yeah, I would like that. Thank you.
please,
Oh,
please.
I
It's like, I'll
like
take
it.
the spanking.
What do
Thank
you say?
you.
What do you say?
Yeah.
You say thank you, sir.
Yes, I said, yes, thank you. I would like that very much, sir. Thank you. And then, so I know this is the story you all heard.
All right. So I'm going to have to cut you off right there.
All right.
And we will have to resume in episode 2.
Oh,
So
That
stick
sounds great.
around. We'll have Grey and Evie back next week.
You'll hear some wonderful stories and have a lot of laughter.
That sounds great. We'd love to do that.
Awesome.
Please follow, like, and share our podcast.
Make sure to visit thedomlife.com, where you can find pictures and other details about the Dom Life podcast. And through the Contact Us button, you can ask questions or provide recommendations for future episodes.
We want to explore your kink too.
Be sure to check out upcoming events to see where our adventures are taking us and our photo gallery to where we've been.
Thank you for joining us on this journey. We hope you had fun listening and learning with us.
Till next time, keep calm and remember your safe word.
Red, red, red.